anytime I get a snake out for any reason, it's always important just to get a look at them, get a look at their overall health. Even though I'm looking at that animal in an enclosure like every day, multiple times a day, when you're getting it out, you're getting a better look at that animal. So when we went ahead and we got Astra out, we were just getting a weight. So we go ahead, we get her out into the bin, that's on the scale, and get her weight that way. So I always try to make sure that as long as the animal's calm, I can go ahead, I can look at her eyes, mouth, I can look down, make sure her scales are in good condition, and then following that process all the way down to the tail, just making sure that she's healthy.
We are part of the Eastern Indigo Snake SAFE program, so that's saving animals from extinction. And being a part of this program gives us access to working not only with other AZA accredited facilities, but also field operatives who are helping the Eastern Indigo Snake's wild counterparts while we work on breeding efforts here at the zoo. We have been incredibly lucky here, and after our third attempt of breeding, we were successfully able to captive breed Eastern Indigo Snakes on property at the alligator farm. And this is a big benefit because these individual snakes were listed as federally threatened in the late 70s, around 1978 or so. And while their range used to hit parts of Georgia and Alabama and all of Florida, now we're only seeing this snake in the wild in parts of peninsular Florida and up in southeastern Georgia. So working with these individual animals is giving us the opportunity to not only learn a little bit more about their behaviors here in captivity, but we also partner with the Orion Center for Indigo Snake Conservation down in Sanford, Florida. They're part of the Central Florida Zoo, and they help us out learning a little bit more about those wild counterparts too. So we're able to make conservation donations and see a little bit more of that success rate ratio through the SAFE program.
Jerry's our oldest indigo, and he's starting to show signs of age. So with it, it's just more important that he gets kind of those extra observations to make sure that everything's going okay. One of them is Jerry is starting to develop cataracts. Just happens with an older animal. So when we're going ahead and looking at that, I always have to make sure I'm looking at his eyes and making sure that they're looking nice and clear. Because if anything's getting worse or it's starting to show signs of any way, he just might have to go to the vets on that. Even though we were there to weigh and serve and feed the other younger indigos, that was a great opportunity because Jerry was in a good spot just to get an observation as well too. Baby snakes can sometimes be really tricky when it comes to feeding, and it depends on the species. So with the indigo, as they move up, or any snake, you have to give them prey items that would match what they would be eating out in nature, but also the size of the animal to make sure they're growing properly. So we had that fuzzy mouse, which is just a size of a younger mouse and the name that we give it. So we had that for the indigo there. And generally, once they get used to those items, they're pretty rip-roaring ready to go about it. So he was a little, seemed a little shy of the camera. He's a little bit camera shy. So I had to go in and kind of lure him to try to come out a little bit. And you saw at first, he was nervous. He wasn't so sure. And then you can tell when they pick up that scent that they like. And once he found onto that mouse, he came up there. And indigos, a lot of the times when they are grabbing a prey item, they're not really, even though they're non-venomous, they are actually what some people call like a pinner. So they'll take that animal and they'll kind of grab it and bite it down. And that's what you saw him do there when he bit that pinky mouse, just kind of slamming it down. But then he was pretty gentle and just ate it in front of the camera. So that's a great thing to see. That just means he's comfortable in his environment. Even with that camera there, all that extra stimuli did not faze him at all. So.
So we definitely recommend coming here to the alligator farm to get involved with these individuals. We do have 5 of them that live with us here on property at the moment, and they come out for a variety of different programs, and they will also be out on display from time to time as well. And we are able to donate back towards conservation for these amazing big snakes.
It's one of the most rewarding parts of the job. Having these animals here, it's a rare sight to see an indigo out in nature. Like, they are listed as endangered. Also, like, even in their own environment, they're pretty hard to see. There's a lot of palmetto scrub and longleaf pine. A lot of the time they spend a lot of time in gopher tortoise burrows too. So when you do see them, they tend to just kind of see a blip.
I think that seeing an animal in person really helps when it comes to building empathy between an animal that maybe you haven't had a lot of experience with. Snakes do tend to get a little bit of that negative factor when it comes to people seeing them in their yards or people being up close and personal with them. Whenever we bring the indigo snakes out, there always tends to be 1 or 2 individuals in the audience that I hear go, oh no, right? And that's a little bit of a negative connotation. But these animals are super beneficial to have around, and getting that empathy with them, learning things like how they help with pest control, or the Eastern Indigo Snake themselves. They're also nicknamed the emperors of the forest because they have the ability to eat larger prey items that maybe we don't want in our backyards, like rattlesnakes. And so that's going to help build that empathy and allow people to realize that these individuals, they need our help, but they're also going to really be beneficial if you have them on your property too. What we can also do is get a little bit more involved here as well. We're going to have our Raptor Run 3K, and this year the proceeds from this event are going to go back towards the Eastern Indigo Snake with the Safe Conservation Partnership that we have. If you're looking more for at home, we definitely recommend looking into your local biodiversity in your area to help your ecosystem out. So planting native plants, helping native species thrive is going to then in turn help other animals like the Eastern Indigo Snake.